Hello, you guys. Hey, happy Tuesday. It's Melissa Miller here at Miller's Rustic Sawmill in King City, Missouri, and I'm a brand ambassador for Essential Stencil, and I am going to be doing some fun stenciling tonight. I'm sharing some of the new stencil designs that Essential Stencil is offering. If you thought that this set right here was my favorite, you are right. So let me hold it up. This is the packaging. It comes with this cardstock in it. My light is really bad to show this, but let's just show you. I've already practiced a little bit. He left the 99 to rescue me, Matthew 18:12. And then it's got the little overlay that goes over the lamb to give it detailing. So I'm gonna show you guys how to use this tonight in a couple of different ways, actually. Maybe that I haven't really tried myself, but you're gonna love it. I think you're gonna love it. And so my friends Bev and Randy came in the other day, and Bev is gonna notice that I'm using some of her scrapbook paper. They brought me a project that they said I could stencil on, and I'm gonna try some stuff on it, but not tonight. I've got to do a little bit of prep work to it, I decided. And I thought that I would play around, and then tonight I'm working on my project that I had in mind, and I came up with an idea, and some of the scrapbook paper that Bev brought was just perfect for what I wanted to do tonight. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna see what happens here tonight. But I'm gonna angle you down so you can see. We can get started. I'm gonna show you what I'm working on first, and this is a background that sometimes we kind of forget about or overlook, and you might have a resource for this around you. This is a cabinet door. It is a nice wood cabinet door. We did not make this, but our friend Tim Steinhauser up the road from us did. And you can see, like, a long time ago, he gave me some cabinet doors that there was something wrong with them, or they were extras, or they were done. And so this is one that I forgot that I had, but look at how beautiful it is. It was a kitchen cabinet door or something. And so it's a nice, pretty square, framed in flat hardwood. So you can see I started painting the inside of this white on the back. I haven't finished that. I just literally started it like 15 minutes ago before this live. So I decided that I would leave this side for now. If we get to it, I'll paint it. So I'm going to angle this down so you can see it is a beautiful cabinet door. I hated to paint that inside of it. So if you struggle with that like I do, I'm going to show you another option tonight that would prevent you from doing that you might be able to decorate with. And I got to tell you, like, there are people that decorate and do things the right way all of the time, right? There are also people like me who put tape on the back of such a sign to hold it to the wall temporarily. That would be me. So I don't know what that's called. I think it's called frugalness, using what I have at the moment. Sometimes that's where that comes from. So this cabinet door is one of those as well. But I also am going to show you something that wouldn't have to be permanent. If you were not wanting and not 100% sure that you wanted to paint the inside of this door. I'm indecisive about that stuff sometimes. So sometimes I find an alternate solution, and tonight I did that by accident. So, all right, this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to angle you down first. So let me stick my face right up in the camera, because I know we all want to see that. And then I'm going to turn this down. So let me grab my little handle and get that to where I think it might need to be. A lot of you are working on projects. It's gonna be spring. Okay, so there we go. I think that's gonna work. I have to bend my little camera hooker thing, or whatever it's called, my ring light. And I think we're good there. So this is a little bit larger space, so I'll try to make sure that I'm fitting this in as I'm working on it. So you can see here's my insides, and I'm gonna work on this part right here. All right, we are gonna get started. So instead of, let me just show you, my first thought was to put this in the middle. Of course, that would be all of our thoughts, right? We would think, oh, I'm gonna put that in the middle. But when I started looking at it, I got a couple of different ideas. And one of them was, this right here is a little too long to go, right? It's not gonna fit. It doesn't really even fit that way. If I were to do it that way, I might be able to get it on there, but it just still is a little bit off, and I could cut my stencil. However, instead, we're gonna do something different. This is the expected. It would be expected that we would do this, but instead, we are going to do the letters and the words. He left the 99 to rescue me. It's gonna go around the frame. So I'm gonna use those on the outer part of the frame. And let me get my cardstock. I'm gonna grab a little piece of cardstock to put down so that I can put a coffee filter. You guys, I use coffee filters for my paints. And that is what I use to fold my coffee filter over. This is what I use. It helps absorb the paint. So I'm just gonna lay it on this. This is cardstock I have folded in half because I've used the heck out of it. I'm just using that so my paint doesn't go through. So now I'm just gonna take just a minute and I'm gonna look at, maybe I do wanna turn this frame this way. So there's a little bit longer side, and I'm just trying to think how I want it to go. No, I'm gonna have it go like this. So I'm gonna start with the 99 and I'm gonna center it up here in the top. You're gonna see. So I'm gonna use the words right up here. And what's great about these stencils is that you can see right through the Mylar, or the product, whatever this product is. I think it's a Mylar, is what it is. I always call it that. But I can kind of see my little seams. So I'm just kind of going by my seams, and I'm gonna put this right up here. So I'm gonna use a little bit of tape to secure that. And we're gonna put the words around here. And I'm gonna show you how this could be fun, a fun project for a nice frame that you might have that you could do this with. Or if you're someone that can build a frame, maybe you would wanna build a frame for this too. So I'm just trying to make sure it's nice and straight. This is what I'm trying to do here. Let me get above it for just a second. Sometimes on my end as I'm working, it's a little hard for me to see if I have something straight when I'm trying to get it here for the camera. So any of your stencils, this is something that you could certainly do with those. So let me look here where I'm at. I think it looks good. So not having a straight edge to line it up, I eyeball a lot of stuff, you guys. But I'm gonna hold this up for 1 second and look at it on my end. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. So I've got the tape there to secure it, and then I'm gonna just hold this as I stencil. So I am actually gonna be using a black paint. I debated on black. Black or a dark gray. I had, of course, a pavement color out, which I think would also look really nice. And I might use that. I just can't decide. I think with what I'm doing, I'm just gonna go with the black. I think the black is gonna be what I need for the rest of the project anyway. So we're gonna go black. This is just a black apple barrel paint, and I'm not gonna need much, but I'm gonna put out a little bit more because I'm gonna go right on around. I'm gonna grab one of my brushes, and I'm going to just pull a little bit out here to the side, as you can see, and I'm gonna do what's called an offload. Offloading means that I'm just kind of loading up the bristles of my brush with paint, and then I'll move to my stencil but I don't want it I don't want a big blob of paint. So you can always check your brush off to the side, and you should have kind of a dry brush going on before you move to your stencil. So here I'm gonna just take and lightly, I'm gonna swirl over this in little stencil swirls is what I'm gonna call that. So I'm gonna just go right over these letters, and I'm gonna put a light pressure. I'm not pushing really, really hard on my brush. So a lot of times you guys are wondering how to prevent the bleeding around your stencil. And if you've got some bleeding going on, you're gonna wanna make sure that you are offloading, number one. And then you wanna make sure that your pressure that you're pushing out, you're pushing on your brush is not crazy strength. You just want to do a nice light pressure right over the words. And sometimes, you know, you might have to do multiple layers. This looks like it's going to be just fine with one, but sometimes we have to do multiple layers. I also have a discount code you can use anytime, and it's MRS2019. I have that in the header as well. So we're gonna just lift that nice and subtle, right? 99, it goes kind of in with my wood. This is unfinished wood, right? Hi, Sharon. Sharon, I'm using, you can see what I'm using. I'm using the, he left the 99. We were all trying to decide what we were using, and none of us are good enough planners that we could plan ahead of time. So we were trying not to duplicate stencils as we came on this week, just because we all wanted to show something new for you guys. So here again, I'm just gonna position this. Now I could offset it, but I'm gonna just kind of put it here in the middle. I could go all the way down, I could move it up or down, I could offset the words, I could get really creative if I wanted to, but I'm just gonna actually line it up about right here. Let me look. I'm looking at my middle of my board, trying to see if I can get it somewhat centered. For me, it doesn't have to be perfect. Tape it down. Well, Pat, that's good if you can already see what you do wrong. Sometimes we don't think about the pressure that we're putting on the brush. And I like to tell people, if you've ever dry brushed anything, you want to maybe start with something like a dry brush, right? Yes, it's so fun to have Sharon on. I love it. Sharon is in Australia, for anybody that doesn't know, and she will be on tomorrow night. Okay, so I am currently just going around this picture frame, and I left this all raw natural wood. I probably could finish this and it will make it look even more high-end whenever I get done. I could put a clear finish on it. So it just depends on how rustic you want to go with something, or how upscale you want to go. There's so many directions you can go with this, but I was just trying to do a classic framed piece of artwork that might be able to go in about anybody's home. And I'm going to show you how you can make this very versatile. I think you're going to love, I hope what I'm going to do tonight turns out. I think you'll love it. We'll find out. We'll find out, because I think it's going to be a good option for some of you to see this, because it might open up some other creativity for your other stencils that you do. So this paint that I'm using is going on this surface really well. So, you know, sometimes the surfaces we work on can give us issues as well. So don't always think it's just you. Different surfaces are going to create different challenges. I'm just doing very little. The coffee filters help to absorb the paint too, right? So You can always use a coffee filter, and they're fairly cheap and inexpensive. I get a lot of uses out of one. Sometimes I fold it again. If you're worried also about having too much paint and putting it here, come to your stencil and start out here in a solid spot and just kind of check it and work your way into the holes. That's also a good way to just maybe break in your stenciling if you're new here. Oh yeah, the brushes make a huge difference, and they were in stock. So I always recommend, if you are someone that can stock up on some brushes, you're gonna wanna stock up while they have them in stock, because they go out of stock quite frequently. They're popular. Okay, so I think I've got that done. Okay, we're gonna turn this. And I did say it is acrylic. I'm just trying to read some messages. My gosh, they're flying tonight, you guys. Hi, Cindy. Hey, Kim. Thank you, Sarah. It's okay. Totally okay. You forgot to order the brushes. Thank you. Sorry, I'm looking at something real quick. I'm getting sidetracked. Okay, sorry guys. We're gonna turn this around. Okay, so he left and I've got 99 up here. I about dipped my frame in the paint. So now we're gonna go with To Rescue Me. I'm gonna put it down here. And once again, you guys, I am not a measurer. If you are someone that likes to measure, you go right ahead and measure. I can tell you, one time I did a porch board party, and there was one of the girls that, I mean, it was just so stressful to her to not measure. So I tried to help her measure, you know, what she was doing, because she was like down to, you know, the tiniest 16th of an inch. She did not want to be off. And, you know, to me, that might not be important, but if you are that person, to you, it is important. So, you know, keep that in mind. We all work differently. If you're someone that's holding parties or, you know, doing something with others, I am pretty free-spirited about my stenciling, and I'm okay with it not being, you know, completely perfect, or I'm just looking at my words. I think I'm going to move them a little bit more, maybe this way. But, you know, to somebody else, those things can be a pretty big deal, that they're even, or that they're measured, or that they're straight, or that they're so if that's you, then make sure that, you know, if you don't have the capability to say, oh, it's fine. Some of us do, and some of us don't. So, you know, I mean, to each their own. And I just like to say that sometimes whenever I am on here, like I said, I hope sometimes that what I'm doing shows you that you don't have to put so much stress into the perfect part of it, because it is handmade. But I also like to tell people that, you know, these stencils help make that part of it also pretty easy for somebody that likes to measure, because you can see through, you can line up things pretty well. You know, most of their stencils a lot of times just line up perfectly with each other. But I sometimes think that's important to also say, because just because I come on here and I eyeball things doesn't mean that you have to. And if you want to measure, then you go for it and measure. Okay, so I'm still just lightly swirling. I had a little bit more paint on my brush this time than I did the first time. And I'm just kind of offloading some of it. You can see right around my stencil. Thank you, Holly. So this is something you can do with so many of your stencils. I just thought that, you know, it would be pretty expected, I guess, to paint this frame or to do something cute with it like that. So I thought I might try something a little bit unexpected. So I'm stenciling around. I'm using black paint. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you. Arlene, thank you. Okay, so now I'm gonna turn it back towards me. So now I've got, he left the 99 to rescue me. And of course I'm gonna put the averse address down here at the bottom, and I'm gonna try to center it as well. We'll see if I can see it. Once again, like right here, I'm able to look right through this and kind of eyeball. Sometimes whenever I eyeball, one of the things that I will do is kind of measure this distance to the the end of each letter to the next point of like what I'm referencing, like my reference point. So sometimes I just use my good old-fashioned like this. I'll mark it, like there's my brush metal and it goes to my brushes, and I'll come back over here and I'll see that I am pretty darn close. I can come just a hair this way maybe and call it good and not stress about it. I want to make sure it's pretty straight. So then I can stencil this, and then we're going to move to the middle. Again, don't worry, because I'm working right here on this blocker, or on this, I call it a blocker. It's actually my cardstock. So again, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just stencil right in here in the numbers first, and just work my way across one color, words on the stencil. You can change them up. Thank you, Diana. I love this stencil. Absolutely love it. So much truth in this verse. I kind of moved my stencil. I'm not wanting to move it, so I'm trying to get a nice clean stencil in these letters. Thank you, Nancy. I like this idea a lot. This kind of it's kind of different. Okay, so let's pull this up, and I'm going to show you a couple things here. So there's my frame. I've got all of that stenciling done, and of course, like I said, it's not finished. So it doesn't have a sealer on it, and I of course will show you guys whenever this is just the wood in the frame, right? So I didn't necessarily want to paint this, but I also thought it could use some contrast. So like I said, my friends Bev and Randy were here, but so I can absolutely put this little guy down right in here, and I could stencil him on in the black, and then add the white, right? So I'm trying to see where it's at in here. I could put it right in the middle and really make a statement, I feel like. And it's just paint, so, you know, if I decided I ever wanted to paint over it, I could. But I wasn't 100% convinced that that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to paint the whole inside. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you this. So we're going to go ahead and stencil this little lamb on here. And then I'm going to show you my other idea. So we'll do this first. But I'm going to tape it, and I'm going to have to hold it. So I'm just looking to see if I've got it in the right vicinity here, right? So I'm just looking. I think we're about probably close to the middle. I might move it down just a hair. And then I'm going to put some tape down and take another look. So I'll tape over the letters as well, because I don't want anything to go into this as I'm stenciling. And then I'm just going to have to kind of hold this down as I go, right? So I think that looks okay right there. So I'm going to go ahead and use, sometimes I like to show you guys this, like just like on the packaging. So if you get this, you're going to see in the packaging that it's a black lamb with a white overlay. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to go ahead and use my black acrylic. Pick up some acrylic, and there's a lot of space to fill in on this lamb too. So I wanted to show you that, you know, a good way to do this is to just kind of come over these edges like so and kind of work your way in. Obviously, I'm working on a little bit of a tight space here that's not perfect for stenciling because I'm having to push my stencil down. So I'm just using my fingers. You're gonna get paint on your fingers 9 times out of 10 if you are stenciling. So expect that too, but acrylic paint washes off. And so you can see here, I'm just working my way into this large space around the border. And this is a way that you can also make a really cool effect, to be honest. Like if I wanted to leave this lamb like so, it might look really, really cool. So we might take a look at it with the risk of lifting and checking it out and to see what it looks like. Just kind of shadowed in is kind of what I would call this. And it's not done on, like I'm not doing this purposely, but sometimes this is how great things happen that are really cool. And you're like, oh, so I'm just getting a good line around it is really all I was trying to do. But let's look at it because it might look kind of cool. And then we might just decide to fill it in. So all I have to do is flip this up and check that out. Like I could just leave the lamb just like that. Isn't that great? Because it allows some of the wood to show through, and so then if I finished it, it just, I mean, it looks like it could have taken me hours to do that. Do you guys like that? I think that's a pretty neat look. Yes, I could use the white. Absolutely, I could. And so I don't even have to use the little overlay if I don't want to. I'm trying to find, there's the overlay. But I really like it. I think it looks really neat like this. It's just, I'm finished. If you can imagine this all with a seal coat on it of a clear, it would be absolutely stunning. All of the wood would pop and it would, you know, it would change. So we could leave it. It just looks really nice. But let me show you the other thing. So that's a technique that happened, of course, by accident, right? You just saw how I did that, you guys. So think about your other stencils that you have that you could do this technique with. And it's not really, it's just a stencil technique. And it turned out, you know, this is all wood grain. I didn't do any staining. There's no staining on this board whatsoever. It's just a cabinet door that my friend, the cabinet maker, gave to me. I've had it for quite some time and I've never done anything with it. And I thought this would be a great project. you would distress black around it and some of the words to make it look really old. Yeah, you absolutely could. So, okay, so this is one version. Now I'm going to show you the other version, right? So I've got a couple of versions here, and this could go any direction that we want it to go. But we're gonna try something here. So I think this is the one. Now, what did I do with my stencil? I'm just getting confused. I'm confusing myself. Okay. Let me think about this for just a minute. Okay, so we're gonna do something here. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna just try stenciling on this paper. And I'm gonna show you, this is some stencil paper. I'm not gonna show you the pattern yet, but I will. So let me get to a point down here. Let me move this up out of my way. Let me just move this off of here for a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna try something. And we're gonna see if this works, but this is just some paper. So I can just trace right around this with a, I might have a marker. Actually, it's probably gonna be quicker for me just to stencil a little outline on here. And then I'm gonna show you, so, because I don't know where my markers are. Well, no, I lied. I have one right here. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little Sharpie and I'm gonna go right around my lamb right inside of here with my Sharpie on some scrapbook paper. And it's okay if I get it on my stencil. It's not gonna hurt it, right? So let's just keep going. Any kind of pencil or pen that you wanna use. The Sharpie flows around it pretty well. Fairly easy. So let's cut this guy, right? Okay. So we're gonna cut this out. I'm gonna try not to show you until I get him out. But this is a good one to do this with too. And I could see this for like, you know, there's a lot of stencils that come to mind now whenever I think about this. So this would be great for the little lamb, even alone, is going to be great for like a baby's room or something like that. I just think it's so sweet. And so you could do this with an initial even. Okay, let me get this out of my way. Trying to be a surprise. Sometimes surprises are fun. Okay. So I'm just cutting this out, and then we're going to take a look at it here in a minute. As soon as I get it cut out, I'm just trying to catch all the little, there are some little ridges on that lamb that make it a little bit, you know, bumpy. So I'm just kind of trying to catch that too. But I wanted to try this, and then I've got another thing I'm gonna try on that same frame. So I'm gonna do like a 3-in-1 project, and we're gonna see what we like best, or you could make it extremely versatile. Ridges from the wool, yes, thank you. We have some friends who are sheep farmers, actually. So you could actually even do just a cute little white lamb. But let's look at it. Look at that. If I wanted to do a pattern, and then I could even like shadow it. So I've got this cute little lamb. That pattern might not be perfect. It's kind of a big pattern, but it's still super cute, right? So I could actually even cut a black piece right behind it to make it solid if I wanted to from my cardstock. So, you know, I could just take a piece of cardstock, cut a little bit bigger shape, and shadow it. And it would be super cute. Paper, just scrapbook paper, guys. I've had that scrapbook paper forever. Okay, now here's where I got this idea. I got this idea from trying this right here on my cardstock alone, right? This is a white lamb that I did practicing. So this is the lamb in white paint with a gray overlay. And I'm gonna show you guys really, you know, that this is an easy thing to do. So I did the lamb in white, and then I laid this right over the lamb, just like this. Lined it up. So let's just see here. I might wanna, I'm trying to, so I'm gonna have to clean this because I used the other side of it. Let me see if I have anything to clean it with. I have stuff going everywhere. My stencils are falling. Okay, so this is not my normal cleaner, but I'm gonna see if this will work, just to get it cleaned. I typically have Awesome, and I'm looking around and I'm not seeing it. I think I took it to the front of our shop. So I'm gonna wipe this off because I kind of need to see around this. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys on here, and I think it's gonna be just fine because I still have one more thing to show you, and I think you're gonna love the next thing. But this all kind of came about just from practicing tonight for you guys, and then it made me have other ideas. So you're gonna get a lot. You're gonna get a lot tonight. Okay, so this is the overlay that comes. So I had to kind of clean that because I wanted to be able to see where it's at on the base here of my lamb. So let's find the ears and the face. Okay. So now let me tape this down. And I'm going to show you, this is how I did it. Maybe you have another way to do this. You could lay it certainly right over the stencil if it fits. Obviously, you guys know that this didn't fit in here. So I'm going to show you. And I'm just going to go over this with the white. And I think it's going to look fine. I know that we were going to leave it, but I think the white will maybe dress it up a little bit, and I'm okay with it. I want you guys to see how this works. So I'm going to do this here for you. My white, I've got some white right here. So, whoa, messy stuff. Okay, so let me get out. I'm just going to need a teeny tiny bit. And I had a brush earlier. Nope, that's not it. So I'll get another brush, and we're gonna put some white on this guy. Even though he's faded in, I'm just gonna kind of lightly show you a little tiny bit of white out. And this is what's gonna dress up your lamb. Kind of give him a face. Kind of pulling gray instead of white. So I may have to do another layer, or we're gonna look at it and see. But this is what's gonna give your lamb that texture of the wool you're looking for, and the pop of just to dress him up a little bit. We're gonna see what happens. I know we liked it the way it was, and you know what? I can totally sand this off and do it again. But I really wanted to do this just to show you guys. And sometimes it's just fun to see that it's okay to change up your project. Sometimes they turn out better. Sometimes we like them better the way they were, but we're gonna find out. So let me just do a little lift on this and look on my end, see if I need to add a little bit heavier white. It kind of seems like my lamb is a little bit grayish. But it might still look cool, right? We don't know. Oh yeah. Oh, cool. Very cool. So I can still see the wood through there, but it just gave him some definition, right? So that turned out neat. And I can sand through it if it's too much, but I really like it. I think it just made it defined it a little bit more, made it look a little bit more like a lamb, and I thought you guys needed to see that. So you needed to see how I did it. And that's the black. You can see the wood is still showing through, and that's with the white overlay. It's helpful whenever you get to see it up close. Looks a lot different. It'll look different whenever I set the camera up too, right? Okay, so now that I've got that, let me hit it with the dryer and make sure it's dry, because the next thing I'm going to show you, you can see I'm actually glad it didn't go full-blown stark white. Do you like this one better? I kind of like it too. It looks, like I said, it looks a little more defined. Okay. So I just use a hairdryer and that's it. It does kind of look like a deer, you're right. So there's this cute little bow, right? Like if I want to finish this, I would probably add, the detail would probably be adding some ribbon here for a bow and hot gluing it on in a tiny little fabric or color, right? That's probably what I would do. Oh, see, Mackenzie is on. Hi, Mackenzie. But, okay, so here's the next thing. Bev and Randy were by here and she brought this really pretty paper. And I was sitting here tonight putting this project together. And I was like, oh my, you know, so I could potentially put this in. And then my little lamb that I stenciled on my cardstock, what if I just kind of cut a shadow around this guy and make him, I can cut a shadow, I can tear the edges, I can soften those edges. So sometimes whenever people are doing ripped paper or something, they'll soften those edges with some water to make a little more torn effect. So that I think could look really good on here. But you can see, I'm just cutting right around this cardstock is all that this is. I'm looking to see if my nephews are on. There they are. Hi, Aunt Ann, they say. That's my brother and the boys. Hello, you guys. I'm making a little lamb. Brigham's gonna think it's cute. So I'm just kind of moving my scissors a little bit to kind of give it a little bit of a wave, kind of like the stencil. But I'm gonna go ahead and go on in. And like I said, you guys, this only came about after I practiced this because I wanted to see the lamb in white with the black detailing. And this is the opposite of what I just did, right? So there's my lamb. And now I've got this cute, thick cardstock lamb. And this is just some sheet music paper. All I have done right now is just set it in there, and I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. So if I wanted to secure this with a little bit of tape along the back, because I didn't want it to be permanent, I could probably use some painter's tape and put it in here on this wood surface. So once again, you guys, there is this little guy I showed you, right? We can leave him, super cute. Or I showed you this cute little print that I cut out. I didn't do any overlays. It's just paper. So it's just a lamb like this. You can see better there maybe. Just on a scrapbook paper. Maybe a smaller print might work better, to be honest. And then I took Bev's scrapbook paper and I know that this is not necessarily a song, but look at how cool this would be in here, right? Like then if I put him in there, I could do this right here. Isn't that cool? Wouldn't that be neat? You guys like that? You could add, I really thought an additional pop of color would be really pretty behind the lamb. I love the lamb in the white. I just think it's so cute. And the pink is really pretty. I just wanted to inspire you guys. I mean, I also had this, and again, like this could fit in here, and this would be really rustic. I didn't really feel like it went, but somebody might like it, right? I mean, it kind of goes with the frame. It just didn't like all of the orange in it. But it was, again, like the only big paper I had. So, just really wanted to share with you, if you're a crafter, chances are you have some scrapbook paper laying around. You could pop this into even a small frame like you saw up above on my wall. I use pictures and scrapbook paper in my frames a lot. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you like the ideas I shared tonight? Yes, I think a color would actually really look really pretty. After I pulled that pink out, I was like, dang it, I wish I had a whole sheet of that because I really, really liked it. But this is just, you know, it's a different look too. I'll hold it up. I'm gonna turn the camera up. Yes, you could stencil right on this. I wasn't sure, so this is also a way that if you're not sure of something and you're not sure if you're gonna like it, you can always stencil a practice piece and then see, instead of like stenciling right on a recipe or right on a paper book page or something, you can always practice something and you can cut it out. And I mean, there's even so many things that you can do with just this little thing alone, cut out on the cardstock. It's nice and thick, right? I could see this being used in Bible school or something like that too. So just, you guys, the possibilities are limitless when you start playing with the things, right? It's kind of cool. Very different probably. But sometimes, you know, I don't know, sometimes that's how things happen that are really, really good. So I hope that yeah, I hope that you like what I did tonight, just to show you guys some ideas. So it is a great piece of scrapbook paper. And, you know, I mean, there's so many other stencils that we have that would look amazing on this, right on it. And so many different things as we are, as you're getting inspired. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, you guys. You're awesome. The pink paper did look good, right? And so it's also non-committal. So sometimes, I can't even talk. Sometimes, you know, if you're non-committal, maybe you could use some little ticky-tack to secure something and try it that way. And then if you want to change it up, you have still a surface to work on that you don't have to strip the paper off of. And you could change this up for different seasons, you know, and colors if you wanted to do something like that too. I've got some. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys. Just so different. So something so different. So I'm going to show it. I'll lift the camera up. Okay, so let me show you. Whoa, hello. Okay, let me hold it up, okay, because it always looks, projects don't look great until they're held up. So we'll start with the first thing that I did, and I'll show you how nice it looks, right? So it's just so simple. So it's not finished as in having a finish on it, but look at that. It's actually beautiful. And I still have the back side, right? So that's the black lamb with white over it. And then I showed you, where is he at? There it is. I showed you this little guy, right? So I showed you this. So if you wanted to do a shadow or you wanted to do something cute like this with paper, kind of looks like a cow in the black and white, but you might pick a smaller print. I think a smaller print for this smaller size is probably the way to go. I didn't know. You don't know until you try it. Then I showed you the pretty paper that just actually fits right in there. And then I showed you how I did the lamb on the cardstock in my stencil. And if we were to put it together, this is somewhat how it would look. I love that song. So it looks three-dimensional. So yeah, and I'll show you those words up close, right? So that's just in black. They turned out really good. And you guys, this is my cardstock. I stenciled on my cardstock. I stenciled it in white, and then I overlaid it with black. So you could, you know, this could be a temporary. You might not love it, but something like that you could do in temporary. And all I would have to do is basically tape it all, to be honest. I could tape it. Cute. Cute, cute, cute. I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.